My name is Marcus Bremer, and this is my presentation over Bremer Hardware and Lumber Company. Little bit of history about Bremer Hardware and Lumber is that we were established in 1915 by my great-great-grandfather, so we have been in business for 99 years, pushing very close to 100. We started out as a small little family business, and till this day we're still a small little family business, but the business and property itself has grown over the years along with customers. The history of the market is that shelter is an essential thing that everyone needs. You have to have shelter, and with shelter comes the luxuries of shelter. You have electricity, plumbing, heating and cooling, and our store supplies all that, along with everything for the home improvement needs to make fixes around the home and to improve the home. Competition is that we are a small business in a small town of under 1,500 people, but within a 20-mile radius, there are 6 different competitors. And our 2 biggest competitors are 2 franchises, Lowe's Home Improvement and Meeks. Lowe's is a larger scale version of us, but Meeks is pretty much the same size as us, and they have all the same essentials that we do. They have hardware, they have lumber, have electric supplies, cooling supplies, heating supplies, everything that you would see in a typical hardware store. Our revenue stream consists of contractors, do-it-yourselfers looking to improve their home, carpenters, and get everything from lumber to all the other essentials to build a home or to make improvements in a home, additions, whatnot, electricians, and plumbers. Competition structure for us is a monopolistically competitive market. With all the other competitors that we all have to stay in line. And the majority of everybody we're in competition with gets all their supplies from about the same place. So price that we pay is all about the same. So when we raise or lower prices, the other companies have to, because we have to stay competitive. Like I said, there's 6 in a 20-mile radius, and people are willing to drive if they're getting enough stuff to save money. Factors affecting demand is when the economy drops, the demand for construction materials takes a huge hit. When no one has money to refurbish a home or do any repairs, things go unbothered and untouched, and that takes a big hit on us. And other factors that you wouldn't think are factors such as storms and petroleum, which raises the cost of our material. If a storm hits somewhere, like when Hurricane Sandy hit and Hurricane Katrina hit, that put a large increase in the price of plywood and other construction materials. When petroleum prices go up, it takes an effect on things such as shingles. Shingles are made out of petroleum, and the price jumps up on those. And price on those are pretty high as it is, and they have not dropped in a long time. And the same with when Hurricane Katrina hit. All the price for plywood and other construction materials went up, and since we were having a recession in the economy, things really haven't come down that much. It's getting better, but those are factors that affect the demand. Tastes and change with the advances in technology and material enhancements also do that. Currently, right now, there's a new type of plumbing that people are using besides copper tubing, and it's called PEX pipe. PEX pipe is a type of pipe that's easier to work with, and you don't have to do any type of welding or anything like that like you have to with copper pipes. And the connectors just slip on and no leaks. So a lot of people are going to that. So our material in that over the last 3 years has increased. So that affects our demand as more plumbers tend to use that. And we are sensitive to changes to stay competitive with our other competitors. Because as I said earlier, we have 6 different companies in a small radius that we're trying to compete with. And being in a small town, people don't mind driving because we're kind of out in the country and there's not a lot, and everything's about equally as far no matter where you go. Also, seasonal changes and storms affect customers. The summer and spring and fall are always busier as long as the weather's warm because there's going to be more people working outside doing lawn care and gardening, and we supply those types of things. And you have people doing more construction when it's warmer. Now, if storms hit, that affects the price. If a big hurricane hits somewhere, or we have massive storms in Missouri, that affects all the retailers. We had a storm hit a shingle supplier in Joplin, Missouri, where a huge tornado hit years ago, and that upped the price of shingles all over the states. And when the hurricanes hit, it also took a great demand on the price of plywood and lumber. With the winter storms that we had, it cost more for our trucks to get here because they weren't able to get as far. It upped the price of ice and plumbing equipment because a lot of our suppliers that we dealt with were sold out of all types of small couplings and fittings, so that affected the demand. Our elasticity of demand is that we are elastic due to the competition in the marketplace. Factors affecting our supply are that the land that we own and the buildings are all owned and paid for. We have little debt, where other companies have more debt, and that affects them and not so much us. We can afford to do more things and have a larger supply than they can because we're not in as great as debt. Weather naturally affects supply because in the summer you're not going to keep anything like ice melt, and in the winter you're going to have lawnmowers. So weather affects what we keep in supply and what we sell in supply, and technologies always affect supply. The internet and smartphones have made it to where it is easier and quicker to get in touch with our suppliers, and we save time and money, and that helps with the supply. Expectations that we have as a company. Of course, change of weather brings in more customers. When it gets warmer, we are busier, and that helps with the business. And a change in economy slowly picking up and helping the housing market increase, which always helps and sell the lumber portion and any of the other hardware for things such as plumbing and electrical, because that's what everybody needs in their house. And if the economy picks up, people have more money, and they're more willing to spend their money on those types of things. Cooperation from the city government to increase infrastructures and to encourage new businesses always helps. City wants to keep money inside of the city, so they encourage people to come to us because we are the only one in our town that pays any taxes. The others that it would compete with are outside sources. So when cooperation from the city government comes in, that helps us have more clientele from inside the city, and it also helps them with the tax dollars staying in town. Opportunity costs is that if a larger scale business, much like us, opened up, that could reduce their prices to an amount to where we couldn't stay as competitive. That could lead to less inventory, maybe eventually making us consider selling out to them if their offer was right, or just drop out. And if the market drops, it could lead to layoffs. When you have layoffs because of nobody coming in, it takes a big effect. You can't pay your employees as much as you want to, and you have less employees due to having less business. The entry and exit, like I said, we have everything paid for, so easy for us to stay in and not leave. And new people, we've been, over the years, we have become so successful that is why there are so many in a small radius. We've seen our family business grow and prosper and do well, that all these other people opened up. I don't think anybody would open up right now because there's more than enough competition. Nobody would want to get into that debt at the moment. But if it happened, our big advantage is that we own everything we have. We don't have to run up any debts, and that helps us in the long run to stay in. We are known as a building material and supplies dealer, according to the census. And in the United States, there's approximately 67,472 stores like us, with a revenue yearly of 217 billion, 300 million, 171,000, and a payroll of 26,462,155,000. Our supply and demand, as you can see in this chart, right now we're pretty much at equilibrium. Should anything happen, such as another economic fall, everything will shift to the left. But right now, as a business, we're at equilibrium. And as far as anything such as international competition, we have none. All of our competition is local, and all we have to deal with are the competitors in our area. And something that kind of stands us out from the rest that helps us with our competition is we're known for being a family business. Everybody that works there is a relative, and they come in for a family-friendly atmosphere with people they know in that small town camaraderie that you can only get from a small town where everybody knows your name pretty much. So that helps as far as competition. This is my work citation page from the U.S. Census Bureau of 2002 was the earliest I could find. And that concludes my presentation.